Quartz by Total Energies. 70 years of innovation in lubricants for all types of engines.
Coming up in this week's show, the Toyota CHR goes up against the Haval Jolion.
We compare performance hatches from VW, Audi and BMW.
And we explore whether it's worth keeping a 9-year-old Ford Kuga.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. We'll be tackling a fresh batch of your vehicle-related questions and queries once again. And here to help us this week are Khaya Finger from Car Chic and Mumbo from Mumbo Repairs. Welcome back, guys. Nice to have you back, Mumbo.
Thank you.
Remember, if you like the panel's advice, you can send us an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za, or you can just pop us a DM on Instagram @ignitiontv, and please give us as much information as possible, including a photo of yourself. Now we're going to kick off things with a question from Sandy, and he's looking to purchase a used car with a budget of 280,000 Rand for the daily drive. He's considering a 2017 Toyota CHR or a 2021 Haval Jolion, and seeking advice on which one would be a better buy. And I'm going to start with the ladies.
Although there's an age gap, I'm going with the Toyota. I just think when people, both are high risk at the moment, by the way. Haval has come up as high risk for hijacking. So that came out last week that, you know, they have entered the market for high risk. So either or are high risk with hijacking. I'm going with the Toyota. It's tried and tested. Also after sales. People always miss this when they buy a car. You get your car into an accident or something happens and there's no parts. Toyota is tried and tested.
Yes.
That's what I like. People don't understand. If you have a courtesy car on your insurance policy, you only got 30 days. After that, you're on your own. So you're going to be walking to work. So that's why I like to stick to the brand I know is tried and tested.
Yeah.
So all day Toyota, all day, every day.
So the 4-year difference is not a problem for you?
For me, it's not a problem. At least I have a car.
Mumba,
100%.
what do you think?
I would also go with the Toyota as well. It's tried and tested, been in the market for very long. You know, you won't have an issue with part availability. With the Haval, I would prefer going for a new car. If I would go for the Havals or the other brands, I'd prefer to go for a brand new one, knowing that I've got warranty and I've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah. See, 280,000 Rand as well is going to get you a fairly low mileage Haval Jolion.
Yeah.
So you'd most probably find something that's a year old, maybe 30,000 kilometers on it, that'll fit into his 280,000 Rand budget. So you've got to weigh up the fact, do you buy a car with no warranty, but has a reputation of being really good? And of course, you know, there's a dealer under every tree. And the backup, as Kaya quite correctly said, there's always backup for it. The Haval doesn't have the amount of dealers that Toyota. It is an unproven product as such. It's only been out for a couple of years. So you've got to weigh up, do you want the newer technology in a slightly bigger car, or do you want to go for proper tried and tested? And what I would suggest maybe is drive them both and see how you feel. I'm also tending to sort of veer towards, I'd rather have the proven product.
100%.
You know, something that's
When
proven.
it comes to cars, proven.
And the CHR is what's quite nice about it as well, as I don't think that car's on a theft risk.
You know, it looks, it looks
Because you know, it looks different, and if you like the styling of it, that's cool. But because there's not a lot of them around, there's not a big demand for any parts or stuff. So cars that get stolen or fall into the high risk, like you mentioned, are all the popular cars. So the more they sell, the more the demand there is for parts and bits and pieces.
That's why Haval's come into
That's why they steal Polo's headlights. You know?
Yeah, I would go for the Toyota. And what you guys doing in the Haval?
Yeah.
So I'd go for the Toyota. What you guys doing for the Haval?
I think we all say
we all
say go
4 out of 4,
Go for the
guys.
Toyota.
Toyota, 4 out of 4.
tried and
Of
tested.
course.
Find yourself a good low mileage one. Maybe you get lucky and you find somebody who's selling the car and it's still got an extended warranty or something. You never know.
Okay, our next viewer is Liesel, who along with the family purchased a manual Suzuki GL in 2019 for her son. However, he's having difficulty with a manual transmission. Liesel is considering whether to switch to an automatic vehicle. Okay. She's aware that smaller cars like the Swift may not have the best automatic gearboxes and is unsure whether to trade in for an automatic Swift or find another automatic car Or, I think this is very valid, encourage your son to continue with a manual transmission despite the challenges. So, Khaya, what would you tell your boy?
Are you going to be a man or a mouse? Okay, do you want a man or do you want a mouse? He must drive the manual. He's young. I assume he's young. Even if he isn't, let him drive the manual. I always tell people, when I often get questions about the first-time car for their children, go with a manual. Even if it's a girl, go with a manual. You want to learn how to drive that manual.
Is so sexist.
I'll tell you why. Because you never know when you're going to need to drive a manual. Say you end up somewhere, you need to move a car, you need to get somewhere. Sorry, I can't get in the car. It's a manual. I don't know how to drive it.
Or
Why?
when you go and hire a car.
That's what I'm saying. Why limit yourself? You're limiting yourself. So learn and get used to the manual. Drive a manual for 10 years, and then that automatic's going to be a
If
dream.
he's driving a manual, that means he got his license on a manual.
And
so how do you get his license on a manual?
he can drive it. He just wants to be in an automatic. Now, my thing is, you've got time to get into your auto. That's aspiration. Learn how to
When
do
you get to my age, you get an automumbo. What do you think?
So as you just asked yourself, you just asked, how did you get a driver's license for a manual? And
don't you go down that road. We're not talking about how you bought your license, eh?
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. So I got my wife as well. She got her driver's license with a manual, and she can only drive automatic. So I would say to the lady, encourage your son to drive the manual and learn it, be proficient. As she's also said, he's still very young, so he can still be employed at a place and get a company vehicle to find that it's a manual, and then now he might be limited. So I would say, do not handicap your son. Encourage him. Let him burn those clutches. Let him bring business to the gentleman's workshop and to my workshop as well. So yeah, encourage him. Let him make sure that he learns and he becomes proficient with the manual. Once he's proficient with the manual, then he can move on to automatic.
That is such good advice. Why didn't you take it yourself and let your wife drive it?
Now, I also like on her email, she says that the driving is likely due to Generation Z driving skills and not an issue with the car.
Absolutely. She knows her son.
She knows.
I think that maybe the best thing to do is to find a driving school. Now, I know he's got his license, but you can get into a driving school. The driving school will teach you how to drive that car properly, because they'll come with a car that has dual clutch transmission. I'm thinking of DSG. They're so bad they're in my head. It'll have the driver instructor has the pedals on his side, and the driver has got your pedal, so he can teach you properly how to drive it, and it won't be long before he gets proficient on it. Stay with it, because if you look at the cost to replace that car, sell your one car to buy another manual, get the manual to buy an automatic.
Well.
I'm thinking,
That's
Adam,
probably 20,000,
I learned how to drive on a City Golf. No power steering, nothing. No ABS brakes, and it was amazing. I can drive any
We're
car.
talking about normal people here.
And you should see how she
We're talking
drives
about
now.
you,
My
all right?
goodness.
We're talking about
Okay,
normal people.
let's wrap it up. Stay tuned, because after the break, we compare performance hatches from VW, Audi, and of course, BMW.
And we advise a viewer who is in search for a bakkie under the 400,000 rand mark. You're watching Buyer's Guide, and if you just joined us, welcome to this week's show. Ryan is in the market for a second-hand car, and he's looking for a performance hatchback that is reliable, low maintenance, safe, and comfortable. I think he's looking for a unicorn. He has a budget of 400,000 rand and plans to purchase it in cash. His options include a Polo GTI, a Golf GTI, and an Audi S3, or a BMW M140i. He understands that some of these vehicles may have mileage that is either above or below 100,000 kilometers.
Well, that's normally what happens, either above or below.
Yeah, exactly that.
But just before we get into the question, in terms of if he wants to buy it cash, I would just say, keep your 400,000 rand, finance the vehicle, because you're going to need a lot of money. Am I right, Mamba?
Yeah, to repair and maintain
400,000 rand hot hatch. What are you going to buy? He's given us a couple of recommendations.
So one thing, when you're looking for a hot hatch as well, a performance vehicle, one thing I always tell my clients when they're in the market for a Golf 7 GTI or a Polo GTI is, nobody buys a GTI to drive it at 120 kilometers per hour.
They do, in a 60 zone.
So nobody actually buys those cars to drive it at that speed. So I would say, I would strongly agree with you to use that money as a deposit, and also just lower your installment so that you can get a vehicle with very low mileage.
No. What he said is, save that money,
Okay.
go take finance on the
To pay for
hot
the
hatches
repairs.
you want to buy here.
Yeah.
So you'll have enough money stashed to pay for all the repairs when they bring it to you or me or Adam. So, we get settled.
Yeah.
So we can buy the hot
We
hatch.
can buy the hot hatch.
Yeah.
So you don't get as we say, you don't get a performance car with low maintenance. No one buys. It's going to be used and abused, especially if he's looking at a 2017 model. The best thing here is the 2023 Polo, because that he's only got 1 year of abuse.
Yeah.
Used and abused. So no, I agree with everyone. There's no such thing as a performance car that's going to be low maintenance.
I think you've got to understand, I know you want the car. Lots of people, they see it. Oh, it's wow, it's fancy, it's nice. But you've got to understand what it comes with. I mean, Mumba will tell you, you buy a GTI and everybody wants it with a DSG gearbox. What's the cost of a DSG gearbox? Approximate repair?
For when it comes to DSG gearboxes, it's not actually cheap to repair or replace those gearboxes. You're looking at about 35,000 to 40,000
Upwards.
upwards.
And then let's talk about the engines on these cars.
Yeah.
They're also the same problem, am I correct?
They're also the same problem as well once they start to get to a certain mileage. But surprisingly enough, for the Golf 7 GTIs, you can actually get brand new engines, and they're not that expensive as well.
So when you say not that expensive, you're obviously talking from a trades point of view. We understand that these things are 100,000 rand.
Yeah, 100%.
But the man in the street, it's like, holy moly. That's why I say keep that 400,000 rand.
Yeah.
It's if you're going to buy a performance hot hatch like a GTI, like a 140R, something like that, I believe, if you're going to buy those cars, you've got to spend more than 300,000 to 400,000 rand, and you've got to buy it when those vehicles are in warranty, and you keep it because most people don't keep them very long. It's 2 years, and then they move
Yeah,
because they
because
get
they've
bored with
pulled
it.
it through their nostril already.
Exactly.
Oh, you call it nostril? Is that the new term for it now?
Yeah,
I was just going to say, when he says he understands that some of these vehicles, I didn't read further than that. I thought he understands that some of these vehicles will be pulled through all three nostrils.
Yeah. So you got to understand what you're doing is your budget is a healthy budget, and you want a hot hatch. You're going to buy that. It's fine. You'll enjoy it, but you're going to be spending lots of money fixing it because people with these cars drive them like idiots and they break.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Right. We're going to move on. Now, Comfort, who's 34, has also a budget of 300,000 to 400,000 rand. He's interested in buying something completely different than a hot hatch, a 2019 Nissan Navara 2.3D LE. While he's attracted to its looks, Comfort is unsure about the mechanical aspects, especially since it would be out of warranty. He plans to use the double cab for daily driving and work on a small sheep farm, and he's looking for advice on maintenance costs and whether the Navara is a good fit for those needs. It's actually, not many people are looking for those 2.3 Navaras. It's one that never really sold well, but it's not a bad vehicle, remember?
It's not a very bad vehicle, considering if you got it at low mileage. I would go for Amarok.
Yeah.
Not a chance. You just
I
a
would
VW
go
boy.
But he wants
I would go.
crazy?
I would go
go for
for a Hilux
I'm with the
every
crazy.
day of the week because when that Amarok is done, dusted, been to your shop 35 million times,
Yeah.
that Hilux is just doing an oil change around the corner and it's still running.
Look, the Hilux is, and I think Segi and I are both in agreement for once that it's most probably the best, most reliable bakkie that you can buy. But it's also very bland.
But you agree with me
Where's
the
your,
other day,
where's
we
your
both old,
Ranger?
man.
5 and 2 mentioned.
Here's my Range. The Range is also good, but it's difficult to find a 3 to 4. I don't think what he's looking at here. 2019 Nissan Navara is difficult to find decent double cabs. I like the Navara. I think it's very underrated. And the 2.3 version, it's not the most powerful, whatever, but it's a really good vehicle. Why do you think Mercedes went along and decided, well, we'll base our
use it.
vehicle on this?
Yeah.
They did their research.
Didn't
and thought,
last long, though.
No, it didn't last long. Purely because people thought, why am I buying a Mercedes with a
Overpriced Navara.
overpriced Navara? That's what it was.
And
So-
similarly, I would buy a GWM Steed double cab before I buy an Amarok or a P Series.
But we're talking
buy a
about a
P
Navara,
series.
and you getting sidetracked again.
I'll buy a
Navara,
P Series for 300 to 400,000.
I would think I would go for the 2.3 diesel Navara. That is my opinion. You want to know if it's a reasonable vehicle? Yes, it's not bad at all. Nissan products are good. Don't listen to him.
I would not buy this Nissan. I'd go find myself a Hilux.
You're not buying
And
it.
you would find a Hilux for 300 to 400,000 rand. The mileage might be a little high, but hey, let me tell you something, guys. A Hilux with 500,000 kilometers will still
go
be better
forever.
than any of the other bakkies on the road today.
Okay.
That's
We'll
if
be
you-
taking a short break, but when we return, we find out if it's advisable to purchase a vehicle that needs repairs, fix it, and then resell it.
And we explore whether it's worth keeping a 9-year-old Ford Kuga. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Donnie is considering buying Segi's favorite car, a 2013 Amarok with 190,000 kilometers on it for 193,000 Rand. It's literally 1 million kilometers. The bakkie needs repairs, including a windscreen, it's nothing. Fixing a glow plug warning light, Mumba will tell us that's a lot of things. Replacing worn driver's seat, to name a few. Also, the vehicle needs to be serviced, which was last done at 175,000 Ks. Although the engine runs well with no smoke and the bodywork is in good shape, it doesn't have a canopy. Donnie is thinking of fixing the vehicle and then selling it later and seeks advice whether this is a smart move, considering it's a bi-turbo diesel engine. All right, Mamba, shoot away.
Very smart move. I love Amaroks.
Yes.
I love them a lot, and I've owned at least 5 Amaroks.
Because they always break
They keep
down.
breaking,
No,
that's why you keep buying them.
No. I've owned at least 5 Amaroks, and mainly because Amaroks actually retain their value. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Amaroks are very good at retaining their value, and all of my Amaroks, I've bought them at a certain price and always sold them at a much higher price. So if he's looking to flip the vehicle, going for the Amarok is a very good decision.
How much money you spent in the interim? Keeping it on the road, replacing the gearbox,
No,
clutches, and
Not,
everything?
not at all. That's why as well you need to do
Not
as
at
much.
all, or you spent
Not
a lot?
at all. It's very important to do your research before you buy a vehicle. Check the service history. Try and get in contact with the garage that was repairing the vehicle to know as much as possible about that vehicle as well.
So I looked online and this vehicle is cheap at 190,000 Rand. Most of them are in the sort of 240,000 plus region.
Too cheap.
So, you know, how bad is it? And you've got to factor in, are you going to, if you're buying it to flip it to make a little bit of extra money, are you going to be spending 50,000 Rand on the vehicle to get it to a sellable state? Then you might as well just go and buy one that's in a sellable state. Then you're not going to make much money on it. So it just depends on that. And, you know, every vehicle on its own is different. So you can put 10 Amaroks, 9 could be brilliant, and you could be buying the biggest dog of the lot. Or it could be the other way around. So
I think more likely the other way around.
I think the price is right.
I mean, I think if he's not a mechanic, he should stick to his knitting. You buy them because you are a mechanic, and that's your area, and that's what you're good at. Now you're asking, I mean, we don't know what he does.
Yeah.
If he works in a corporate job, do I think he should buy cars to flip on the side, fix them, and flip them? I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're a mechanic, cool. We're speaking to someone who works. If not, stick to your knitting. That's my advice.
Well, I didn't say that.
Yeah, neither did I, hey? You stick to your knitting, boy. And finally, we have Peter, who owns a 2015 Ford Kuga 1.5 EcoBoost manual with 170,000 kilometers on the clock and a full service history. Although the vehicle has been generally reliable, he has faced several issues, including replacing the oxygen sensor, fixing a damaged radiator, and changing the cam belt. That has to get done anyway.
Those are
Peter.
basic stuff,
That's a
yeah.
basic, yeah. Peter is uncertain whether to trade in the Kuga for a lower mileage vehicle or continue maintaining it, especially given concerns about the Kuga's reliability and the 1.6 model's reputation for overheating and catching fire. What do you think, Mumbo?
EcoBoost engine in my workshops are called EcoBooms.
Yes, we know.
They are called EcoBooms. At that mileage, I would tell him definitely to start considering getting another vehicle.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I agree with you because there are design faults with those engines, and they can rear their ugly heads and may require replacement engines, as we know, are very expensive. The 1.5 is a replacement on the problematic 1.6, but the issues that come with it, they can be problematic. So I would move it on. I think Mumbo is going to say move it on. I know Khai is going to say move it on.
Move it on, move it on. I
Move it on
agree.
because it's in that sort of mileage where it's sellable.
Yeah.
When it's done over 200,000,
Done.
it really depreciates. And if you have a overheating problem, because that's one of the big problems with those engines, and they start to overheat. If you have engines problems like that and you have to put another engine in, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. You'll never recoup that money. So rather sell it before that time comes. Move it on. There's lots of SUVs around.
Can I give Peter some good advice? and tell her not to be like your wife Jackie and keep her Ford.
All right,
Good enough,
just
Peter.
like that, we've come to the end of another episode. Khaya, Mumba, thanks again for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
having
Thank
us.
you.
Much
Thank
appreciated for all your great advice, and I'm sure our viewers were very happy with the advice you gave them today.
Until next time, remember to keep left past right, and please keep it safe on the roads.
Quartz by Total Energies, driving lubricant innovation for all types of engines.